Kyrie Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem.
Good morning, and you heard the warning siren. So this is some Black Cat commentary. Again, Black Cat refers to my American flag Black Cat here. Not my everyday Black Cat, that is this, the most treasured hat I own. Well, there's actually two that I love because they're my napping hats as well. They block out all lights, and I can take a nap in them. That is, and they're comfortable to wear. I have two of them. That one and that gray flat hat I wear from Ireland. I don't know, it's skimmer, I heard them all kinds of things, whatever it is. But, you know, as we move through this quarantine, is it unfair to ask questions about everything we've been experiencing? And the answer should be no. But there will be some people, because they're so emotionally reactive, that ask questions or to have any doubts will be equated with you hate people and you want people to die. And you know that is an asinine statement when you don't flesh it out. That's just your gut punch reaction back to silence people. You hate people. You want them to die. I mean, that's probably a bigger trump card than you hate people, you're racist. Now it's you hate people and you want them to die. Said by the very people, more often than not, who have no problem with watching babies get butchered by the thousands on a daily basis. Context and perspective. It's okay to ask questions. And here's some of the questions I have. I call it in theory and in practice. In theory, we have reduced the number of deaths in the United States by our practices. I think that's good news. You know, the first number we were floating out last month was let's turn down Thunderstruck. 2 million people could die. That's an unbelievable number. Then it was down to 100,000 people can die. Now it's 60,000 people could die from this virus. So the question is, were our practices really that good that we dropped it from 2 million to 60,000? I don't even know what type of decrease that is. How many more times 2 million is over 60,000? Do your math. Maybe I'll do it after this and take a look. Divide 2 million by 60,000. So we did that in theory. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But we don't know for certain. Was it because our practices were so effective, or because the virus wasn't that deadly? It is certainly that easy to spread, but it's not that deadly as a whole. More deadly than the flu, but maybe not as deadly as they told us back in 2 million land. Why did 2 million grab us? Because it seemed, I think, to me at least, like a reasonable number, given the way this virus impacted Italy, which we consider at least an honest representation of the virus. We don't know its impact in China because they are deceitful and dishonest in their government. And we can't necessarily rely on Iran either, because they're a somewhat closed system. So you deal with two closed systems that don't give you reliable information. They don't have this is one of the few good things the media does. You don't have a media digging around for facts. Because in China or Iran, if you're the media digging around in facts, you probably go to your next life, or a dark hole you never get out of. So I can at least credit the United States media with that. This is going to be longer than 5 minutes. You just saw the timer. I'm going to have to shut off the crickets midway. So in theory, we have helped minimize the impact. And I think maybe in practice, I think it's right on the, we will never know So there will be those who argue that we overreacted, and there will be people who said we reacted appropriately. And both of those people should be viewed as potentially credible and not crazy. Crickets, but we're going a little bit longer. So in theory, we've helped reduce the pandemic, which is great. I think that's great. That we're down to 60,000 deaths, that's phenomenal. It's very sad if a loved one of yours is one of those people. But that is a far, far cry from 2 million. Now, in practice, we have 22 million people unemployed. And that 22 million people doesn't just impact 22 million people. If they have families or a spouse, you can double or triple or quadruple that number impacted. And for some of them, it's very dire. I mean, there's people who cannot live beyond a week-to-week basis because of their living habits or their lack of income or whatever it is. I don't know. There's all kinds of broad assumptions to be made there, and you really have to deal with it on a personal basis. But that's the real thing. That's a concrete we know. And that's why you see in a lot of the states these back-to-work efforts. We need to get back to work before whole families are destroyed. So if you are emotionally going crazy, saying to people, we got to get back to work, you don't care about people, you want them to die of this virus, I would say to you, you don't care about families. You want to see them ruined in the face of fear. Plain and simple. You want to fearmonger families into ruin. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. But if you're going to hit me with your stupid smear, that's the one I'd use against you. You don't mind seeing families ruined. You don't mind seeing businesses ruined. You don't care if lives are destroyed outside of coronavirusville. The only deaths that matter to you are coronavirus deaths. And if that is the case, if that is how you're emotionally reacting, wake up and get over this panic and fear and distortion. Because coronavirus deaths are but one part of our life now, and they should not be the defining part of our interactions. Now, I'm hoping maybe one of the lessons we learned from this is that hand sanitizer and maybe some appropriate distancing can actually lessen the impact of things. Wouldn't this be great if we could lessen the impact of the seasonal flu because of this? That would be phenomenal news, don't you think? I would like to see that as a positive outcome of this. I don't know that it will be, but I would like to see it as a positive outcome of this. I don't know. It's questionable. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm praying for our nation. And I'm praying for people accusing one another all the time. That's kind of bugging me. You know, if your first emotional response is to accuse people of not caring about life, I think you need to dial back the weight. And you tell people, hey, I think that's reckless. I think it's imprudent. I think it's dangerous. You just can't go from comply or you're a killer. I mean, that's crazy. Do we not? I mean, it's insane. Please know I'm praying for all of you and praying for our nation. I think this pandemic might be the reset our culture needs. And I hope it comes out for the better side, not the worse. But this is a major reset from going from an incredibly prosperous and healthy culture to one that is very concerned about a real illness that has a great impact on people, but also people who don't seem to think that livelihoods matter. I mean, that's how they got their word, livelihoods, so you can sustain your life. Anyway, God bless you all. Please know I'm praying for you, and if you didn't like this, you shouldn't have listened. Peace.